Hi, this is Jody King-Colgrove with Quantum Techniques, the most diagnostic form of energy medicine in the world today. I work with people all over the world on the phone, helping them figure out why they are having health issues and what they can do about it. So today I wanted to explain a little bit more when we're doing a quantum techniques session, what we are testing when we test food toxins. So a lot of times food toxins can affect people in dramatic ways, like they have IBS and they're doubled over and their stomach hurts so bad. They could have things like rashes over their body, or an outbreak of eczema. They can have immune system response where or an anaphylactic where they can't breathe because of eating peanuts and things like that. So there's many different ways and that someone has a food toxin, and a lot of times they tell it food allergies and things like that. But what we're testing in quantum techniques is if a food is impacting you. And there's literally 7 different ways that food can impact you, and when we test, we're testing all 7. Okay, so let me kind of go through those. So the first thing that we're testing about, let's say you call and you say, I have a headache. So we're going to test your foods against that headache. And so it could be that, sure enough, lettuce that you had yesterday did not test good, and so you've got a headache. So that would be one of the things we'd say, okay, are you really bad on lettuce, or is there something wrong with the lettuce? So we actually test the lettuce outside of your body, and sure enough we find, well, the lettuce had bacteria on it, and so you shouldn't have eaten that lettuce. Or it could have mold, or it could have also some human contactant on it. So let's say that someone was preparing the lettuce and had got something on their hands, or where the surface where they're preparing the lettuce, something on that got on the food. So that's how that food itself, we test for the symptom you have. Then we test to see whether that food reverses your energy. Okay, so in other words, I think we've used the example before that let's say if your dad came home drunk at night, and so to protect yourself, you ran into the cornfield, you're going to be bad on corn because it's going to reduce your, or it's going to make you have a trauma on the corn, and it's going to reverse your energy because you're going to be in a fight or flight state, okay? It could be that you saw something bad on TV once while you were eating something, and there may be a link there. Or you were having a fight with a family member, and that is somehow linked to food. We don't know why our body sometimes links things, but that's one of the things that we're test, is whether it reverses your energy. Another thing, and it's usually trauma-based, just so that you know. So that's something that's really easy to clear and get that connection not there anymore. The next thing that we test on is whether the food is affecting your most stressed organ, gland, or tissue. So if you call and you say, okay, I've got, some heart issues or a thyroid issue, we're going to be testing your foods on those weak organ, glands, or tissues, okay? Or if we find that you have, an immune system issue with a certain organ or one that's weak, we're going to be testing all foods against that weak organ. Also, we test to have the histamine reaction. In other words, are you breaking out in hives, and what food is causing that? Are you having, a histamine reaction where your throat kind of closes up, and we're testing foods on what's causing that throat to close up. Yesterday, my dad was saying, oh, every time I have a salad, my nose drips. I tested everything in the salad, and sure enough, I found it was the celery that would make his nose drip. So I tested the celery by itself. It was fine. So I found out that he wasn't eating organic celery, and so therefore the celery had more pesticides in it, and it was affecting his nose. Now, the next thing I would do is like, okay, why is his nose so sensitive to those pesticides? So there's a lot of questions that these food testing opens up that we can start working on to help you get your health and happiness back. All right, another thing we test on is the inflammation and immune system. So we're testing to see if does that food lower your immune system so that you're more vulnerable to getting a virus or a bacteria. So, for example, my son, when he was little, if he ate dairy, it would lower his immune system, and sure enough, about 4 days later, he'd have a bacteria or have some kind of issue that we had to deal with. And so that's one way that foods lower your immune system. And sometimes it's hard to tell. That's 4 days. That took me a while to figure out. It's like, well, he hasn't had anything for a while. And sure enough, I backed it up and found out what was going on. And the other thing that we test on is against the fungal infection. So a lot of times we do find there's a fungal infection somewhere in your body that a food may be adding to it and creating it to continue. And so we say, okay, leave off those foods for a while your body's healing, and so we can get that fungal infection under control and out of your body. The last thing that we test on is whether your body has the enzymes to actually digest the food. And so if you've seen any of the other QT videos, that's when we do the karate chop on the back of the head, and that tells us whether you have enzymes in your system to digest the food. It could be a generational gene issue. It could also be that we can clear some of that, or it could be that you have such a pathogen load like virus, bacteria, and fungal in your digestive system that the enzymes are no longer there. And so what we're working on is to switch the microbiome and the digestive system to be able to function much better so that you can handle those foods. So the intent is to find out right now, why is your body reacting to certain foods, and then to clear those, and then to lay off of them for a while so that we can work on getting your body back into balance and healthy and happy. So I think that was really important. I know I try to explain that to people when I work with them on the phone, and I wanted to make it into a little bit more detailed explanation of that. So if I haven't worked with you, I'd love to help you find out what foods are really impacting your immune system and your whole body so that you will know what you should be eating and not eating and why it's causing certain symptoms. So give me a call at quantumtechniques.com, and we can do a session together to find out how to get your health and happiness back. Blessings.